Reggie here, your friendly neighborhood bodybuilder and comic book collector, and I want to welcome you to another one of my live streams. This is Comics Today. This is a show that we do on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific time in order to celebrate the best day of the week, that being New Comic Book Day. And typically during this show, I will have a guest on that will help me to make sense of something that is happening in the world of comics. And on this show, we are going to be welcoming an LCS owner that is going to spend a little bit of time helping us to understand Marvel's recent decision to move away from Diamond and to sign a deal with Penguin for the exclusive distribution of their comics. And so in a short while, we are going to welcome Lou onto the show, and we are going to dig into this topic so that we can all have an improved understanding of an LCS's owner's point of view about this move that Marvel has made that in some ways might actually be controversial. Before we get to that, we are going to spend some time saying hello to some comic book soldiers that have joined me here in this live stream. And the way that we do it on this show is that we ask people, if you hit up the LCS, to put up the list of books that you picked up. And if you read something today, let us know if we should put that book on the top of our reading stack. And before I get to the chat to acknowledge those lists that people are putting up, I definitely want to encourage anyone that is watching this right now that is yet to subscribe to the channel. I want to encourage you to go ahead and hit the subscribe button. That way you can stay abreast of all the content that gets released here from the channel, which is a lot. It's a lot of content that comes out from the channel. We do a couple of pre-recorded videos that get released at 3:30 p.m. Pacific time, Monday, Tuesday, and also Thursday. We have 2 live shows every single week. That is this show right here, and also a Sunday show, the Ready, Set, Go preview show, which happens on Sunday night at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. And I definitely apologize, because the problem with doing this show at 7 is that my children do not go to bed until 7:30. And so you may actually be able to pick up on some background noise. Bear with me. We love children in this house. With that said, I'm going to head over to the chat and see who has picked up some good stuff. Mark Andrews is in the house. How you doing? He said, made it to the live stream. Welcome, my friend. Welcome, welcome. So I'm scrolling through the listing here. Shadow picked up the New Carnage, Black, White, and Blood. Very cool. I've heard some good stuffs about that one. Who is this? Missed it. Chuck picked up Nocterra #2. That is all. He says that is all that you need to pick up. That's what's up. Can't go wrong with some Nocterra, man. That is a fantastic read. And as people saw, I picked up a whole lot of Nocterra. So, yeah, man, no doubt, no doubt. Our guest, Lou, is actually the co-owner of Aegis Comics. He is going to be on in just a hot moment. Kingpin, how you doing, brother? It says, what do you say? Put the kiddos on? No. No. My boy did just get a haircut and is looking mighty sharp. Let me tell you that, but no. Scrolling through, Milt's in the house. Milt says, great books today. Picked up the Resistance Uprising. Yes. Yes. I am a fan of Resistance. What is that? Casual Fling and Silver Coin were all great. He says, I don't think I've heard of any of those books. They may be some indie books, but again, thank you, brother, for throwing it out there, because a lot of this is about helping people to recognize some of the good stuff that is out there. So DB has a sore arm. This is not something that he picked up at the LCS. This is something he picked up at the retail pharmacy, possibly at a doctor's office. He just got the 19 shot a few moments ago. Scrolling through the comments here, Mr. Shark picked up Berserker, the second print. Well done, sir. Well done. Nottingham 2. This story is fantastic, and the art is off the hook. A lot of people talking about Nottingham. Have not picked it up. Milt is co-signing Nocterra #2. Scrolling through the comments, seeing if someone else picked up something. Mark is talking about Nottingham, says that is a great read. Ancient is talking about Nocterra being great, because I cannot disagree with Nocterra, because that is dope. One of my packages was just delivered, or at least I received an update there. Scrolling through some of the comments, seeing Joseph picked up King in Black #5, Enoch #2, Nocterra #2, Silver Coin, and also Batman 107. Nice little stack right there. Picked up Death by Life #1, Key Comic, G Key Comic. Oh, sorry, GT Key Comic. Arctic Press, Heavy Metal, The Rise, issue #1. Very nice stuff. Scrolling through, James Bond really didn't live up. Artwork was I'm guessing there's I'm filling in right there. Picked up Two Gun Kid #77. That's what's up. If memory serves, that is the one with the prototype Black Panther character. And if I am wrong about that, you definitely have my apologies. So many comics, so many numbers, so many important things to remember. Sometimes something actually leaks out on the other end. Scrolling through some of the comments here, Joey, the Stunt Master, Enoch 2, Tankers 1, Batman 106, second print, Batman 107, Silver Coin #1, Geiger #1, The Resistance Uprising, Nocterra #2, Far Sector, Green Lantern #1. Whoa, you brother, you got some good stuff on there. I picked up several of those books right there. Who is that? Comic Crypto Stock picked up. He says he needs that Tanker 1. Needs that Tanker 1. Scrolling through, who is that? Dave says got the two issues of Tanker, Enoch, 2 King in Black, Batman, and some Silver Age, which includes ASM 79. Very good stuff, man. I'll show you guys a couple of things I picked up. I actually have a pretty big stack over there that I'm saving for a video, so you guys are going to have to wait on that. But I only hit one of my comic shops up today. But I went to the one that was approved for the Bad Idea program because I wanted to make sure that I picked up my stuff from Bad Idea. Shout out to those guys. So I picked up Enoch #2 right here. This is not a good cover. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I don't know why her face, let's see if I can get that in there, why her face looks the way that it does, or that face over there. It is just an elongated face. Not a huge fan of the distortion of the noggins there. I'll be completely honest with you. It's all good though. It's been a good story so far, so that's why we picked it up, not necessarily for the cover. Also picked up Tanker #1. I want to say even my comic shop owner made a comment. He was like, "Oh, why is this book so expensive?" I think this one, he said it was like $7 or something like that. Whereas this one was the Enoch was a regular price, which I'm guessing is like $3, $4, something like that. So definitely looking forward to reading these two books. I'm going to hit up my second LCS tomorrow, and then I'm probably going to record a video that you guys will see in a week and a half with all the other stuff that is sitting off to my side, some of which you guys have already run down in the list here. Got to my LCS and picked up my sub list for the past month. Some highlights include the Gleason Carnage variant, the ASM new costume, which I think is what, 61? I think it's like 61. Joker 1 and so many more, says the best. Hopefully Enoch 2 will be a good story. Enoch 1 was pretty solid, so fingers crossed that they haven't tanked the Enoch. Missed the Tankers pre-order. Fingers crossed I can get a copy locally. Good luck to you, brother. I'll tell you what I did, man. I reached out to two of my comic shops that are in the area. One is one of my local. One is another that I've done business with that is actually a little further away. I basically have pre-orders with both of them for every single Bad Idea book that comes out. I want it. When I was talking to my local comic shop owner today, one of the things that he hit me to, and I'll tell you guys about it, supposedly, that's actually not a word. Supposedly there is a Bad Idea book that is going to be coming out. I want to say on the 12th. It's going to be coming out on April 12th. It is a book that can only be sold for a single day. And so he and I guess all of the other retailers are only supposed to offer it and sell it for that one day. So if you are interested in picking up this book, you might want to do that. Also had a fun conversation with him about the first comic that was ever actually issued about Bad Idea. It was like a comic that they came out with. They didn't tell anybody what it was. He actually did get a copy of it and did not throw it away, but he set it on the counter for like a week and a half before he realized what it was. And I was asking him if he had it in the shop because I wanted to see it. He had already sent it off to CGC, but this comic that came out actually is the very first comic from Bad Idea. It is before ENAC issue #1. It was kind of like a fake comic, if you will, kind of like that, what was it, New Blood or whatever that book was that Image put out not too long ago, issue #17 or whatever it was, Bad Blood maybe. But this book is out, and I think it's only like one copy per shop. And there's only like fewer than 300 shops, I think, that were on that first round of approved LCSs by Bad Idea. So there's not a whole lot of copies out there. I'm hoping to at least just see the thing. I don't want to necessarily buy it, but I do want to check it out because, again, it's kind of a cool thing. So going back to the comments section here, seeing what you guys are talking about. But what is this? Thanks for the heads up, Reggie. When I do believe that it is April 12th. I do believe that is the day in which Bad Idea is going to send to LCSs a comic that can only be sold for a single day. I believe that it is the 12th. I was in probably an hour-long conversation with my LCS owner when I was in there in between different customers. So like I was just saying, stuff comes in and sometimes stuff leaks out. So I could have jacked the date up. So I would definitely encourage you to reach out to your own LCSs and have a conversation with them. Almighty Liger King, there you go. So it wasn't Bad Blood or whatever I said, Solid Blood. I did have the blood right and the number right. So I'm like almost there, man. That was almost perfect. George says they should change their name to Gimmick Weekly. The thing, a couple of people have reached out to me to ask me my opinion of Bad Idea. And what I'll tell you is that I'm imagining that it is not easy to be an independent company. I am imagining that it is not easy to spend lots and lots of money on print of things that may or may not ever be sold. Printing is expensive, right? So these guys are doing some gimmicky stuff, right? They may or may not have some bad ideas, but technically we were forewarned that they were going to be a little quirky. So I applaud them for breaking through the clutter, because at the end of the day, we spend time talking about them, and not necessarily in a bad way. Which is actually a good thing, because, again, ENAC #1 was pretty solid. I enjoyed it. If ENAC 2 is good, and if Tankers is good, and whatever the Whaler is coming out, whatever that one is, if they're good, then hey, we're gonna put up with the quirkiness. Just keep it going. But I do think that that was a very good idea. The joke there was a good idea, so I definitely applaud that one. L. Smith says he's late, but it does not matter. Shadow got several copies of Nocterra #1 signed by Scott Snyder. Well done, brother. Scrolling through some of the comments, this whole Bad Idea thing is giving me some serious FOMO. Only shop in my state that releases Bad Idea comics. Ouch. Call them up, brother. Call them up and ask them to put those books on a pull list for you. The one shop in Oakland, man, I did it. I'm going to be like, hey, just put those in the mail for me. Bundle those up nice and tight. Put them in the mail to me, because I don't want to drive to Oakland. It's not that far, but the parking at this shop is awful. Great shop. Great shop. Awful parking. So there you go. Scrolling through some of the comments here, Joey, I guess he's picked up a couple of things. Hank Howard, Pizza Detective, hitting the shelf on May 12th. There we go. Maybe that's the information for the Bad Idea. I'm assuming that that's what that is. Great video today with CGC. Are you referring to the Big Money Buys book or video that I released? Maybe that's what you're referring to. But if so, thank you. I definitely appreciate that. Dave says the Solid Blood dropped to $7 on Key Collector. How much was it before? I got it for cover price, so I'm not quite sure how much it was. Goat says he heard the Tankers book quality is amazing. I will tell you, man, the thing about these books that are coming out from Bad Idea is that they are not skimping on quality. They are doing spot gloss on these covers. The card stock for the covers is high quality. The pages are high quality. I mean, these books, man, they are not that wavy. I mean, this one is a little bit wavy, but they're not necessarily that Marvel wavy that we've been seeing over the last couple of years. They are spending some money on these books, and I definitely applaud them. Definitely applaud them for that. So scrolling through, who said that? I'm going to disagree with you just a little bit there. I prefer good publicity because I was the center of a controversy a few months ago, and I did not enjoy it. Let me just tell you, it gave me a little bit of angst. It gave me a little bit of angst. And this is, I think, the very first time I've ever mentioned it publicly. I'm going to disagree with you just a little bit there, Bill. What is this? Bad idea got people camping out overnight for a button. Bro, I'm telling you, is it quirky? Is it gimmicky? Yes. Is it fun? Yes. Are they kind of sort of delivering on the hype that they're creating? Yes. Are they allowing people to some degree or another to be taken advantage of? No. And I think that's one of the good things. They are kicking people out of the program. If LCSs are marking up books and trying to sell them at crazy prices, they're making it available to people. I went to my LCS today and I was there at 12:30. He had 15, 20 copies of each book right out in the open, right by the register, but 15 or 20 copies each right out in front. He had some behind the counter for people like me that had already reserved copies, but I think they're doing the right thing. I think they're doing the right thing. Steven says he got the two variant copies of Avengers 44, Nocterra #2, Star Wars High Republic, Green Lantern #1, and an ENAC #2 for cover price. Got them online. That's what's up. Congrats on that, brother. Anytime you can get it for cover price, that is definitely a good thing. Who is that making ravioli? It's all good, brother. Enjoy your dinner. Sean, how you doing, brother? It's good to see you. Marvel print, man, they have it. If you guys missed the video that I put out in which I kind of talked about what's going on with the paper quality, I was under the impression that their paper quality was really bad, that being Marvel. And what I realized is that it's not necessarily bad paper quality so much as it might be the printing process, right? The ink sit on top of the paper, which creates the waviness, blah, 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 right? So scrolling through some of the comments here, are there going to be more not first prints from Bad Idea? I don't know. I don't think that they're doing any variant covers. I think that they've supposedly been very clear about that they're not doing variants, but whether they're going to be doing not first printings in the future, I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I'm sure that they have a lot more really bad ideas that they're going to be introducing us to. I think that they sit over there and they think about, like, you know, what's a bad idea that we can roll out, then they do it. So I don't know. Scrolling through some of the, yeah, man, who is that? Who was that? Somebody said they completely missed the controversy. Yeah, man, we didn't talk about it. We didn't talk about it at all. Kind of just kept it moving. Look into Ultimate Comics in North Carolina. You can use their store as a Bad Idea store, and they will ship to you. Use them, and I'm in Ohio. That's what's up. There you go, Mr. Shark, JB 23 is dropping some knowledge in here. Ultimate Comics in North Carolina is a Bad Idea store that will hook you up if you are in another part of the country. There you go. Not first prints will be available forever. They will keep printing them, says Comic Crypto Stock. Thank you, brother, for that. Scrolling through some of the comments here. At my store, I had to prepay ahead for the tankers 1 through 3 just to make sure I got them. I respect it. I want my shop that I kind of sort of know that I've done business with up in Oakland. I sent them a message and look, check it out. I want all of them. I'm willing to pay in advance. Just make sure I get my books, right? That was my message to them. So I get it. Scrolling through some of the comments here, seeing what else you guys are talking about. They do indeed have some good quality stuff. No doubt about that. Scrolling through, yep, there you go. And that was the point that I was just making. I mean, they're breaking through some of the clutter and some of the noise that is out there. They're getting people to talk, which again, is not necessarily a bad thing, and they're living up to the hype. So I kind of sort of respect that right there. One quick thing I'll do real quick while we're waiting for our guest to arrive. I'll throw this up on screen. This was actually something that I can't remember who it was. Might have been Ron. Who was it? Who was it that sent me the message earlier today? Yeah, it was Ron. Ron sent me a message earlier today, and he hipped me to the fact that there was a record-breaking sale yesterday, a high-grade Action Comics issue #1 sales for a record-setting $3.25 million. And this is a pretty cool thing. A private seller actually acquired the book, Action Comics issue #1 for $3.25 million, beating the previous record of $3.2 million, which is kind of cool. Some cool stuff right there. And this was actually a transaction that was done through comicconnect.com. There have been all kinds of messages that people have sent me. There's different kinds of details that are floating out there about what the record was and what the grade of the book was, et cetera, et cetera. At the end of the day, a really nice copy of Action Comics was actually sold, a book that I cannot afford, but I wish that I could afford. But the book sold, and I'm surprised. I am actually a little surprised that the book did not go for more than $3.25 million. Given what is happening out there in the collectibles world right now, I am a little surprised that that price was not higher. To be completely honest, I am very surprised that it wasn't. And again, make sure if you did not see the bonus video, we dropped a bonus video earlier today at 3:30. It was the big money buys list, top 10. We count down the most expensive books that were actually sold on the eBay machine. Shout out to my man Doug for helping me to put together that video. And by put together, he does all the research, and I am the pretty face on the screen that reads the words that are assembled. So shout out to Doug for helping me to make magic with that. I definitely want to encourage you guys to check that video out should you get a chance. All right. So as I alluded to, Milt says he offered $3 million, $3 million, and they shut you down, brother. I honestly cannot believe that. Tell you what, you send me that $3 million, and you can have my next copy of Action Comics #1. That is my commitment to you. You send that money over, and I will take care of it. All right. So as I alluded to at the top of the show, we have spent some time over the last couple of weeks, kind of off and on, talking about this change that Marvel has announced. Marvel has made a pivot. They have decided that they are no longer going to have an exclusive relationship with Diamond. And this kind of follows in the footsteps of what DC did when they pivoted away from Diamond. And so instead of going with some other distributor that was out there that is in the comics industry, instead of standing up one, kind of sort of what DC did, Marvel opted to partner up with Penguin. And they have signed a multi-year deal with Penguin to do the exclusive distribution of their comics to the direct market, to LCSs. And so I have spoken about this, as I mentioned in previous videos. I have my own thoughts about it as a fan of comics. And so what I wanted to do was, instead of me trying to speculate, I wanted to invite onto the show an LCS owner to kind of help me to make sense of this news and to better understand specifically how this may impact LCS owners in either a positive or a negative way. And so to that point, I want to welcome to the show my man, Lou. Lou, how are you, sir?
What's going on, Reggie? I already feel warmer being around you. Look at that.
I'm gonna tell you right now, your screen is like crispy, man. You're looking good over there, brother.
Yeah. I'm using a bunch of special effects.
It's working, my man. I mean, you got the mood light going on. I need to step my game up, man.
Dude, I feel older. You're the one who looks younger. I mean, that's what they say. I heard you're like 80 years old. Look at you.
Black don't crack. That's all I can say. I'm like Morgan Freeman. I'm like 100 years old and I'm still rolling, you know?
For real. For
All right,
real.
brother. Well, it is good to see you, my man, and I definitely want to welcome you to the show. Right off the top, I want to ask you to give us a quick rundown of who you are, right? I mean, we know you're a comic shop owner, right? But what comic shop? How long have you been in business? Give us a little bit of flavor and context for who you are and what you do up there.
All right. Well, normally I would make jokes, but I actually I hold you in high regard, so I'm gonna try to be a straight shooter tonight. Be serious. So you're lucky Amy's not here because it would have went off the rails immediately.
She can't be a straight shooter. I'm gonna just be honest.
But that's why I love her, right? I think that's why we all love her. But if it wasn't for her, I always have to give her a shout out because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. And this shop would not exist without her. It absolutely would not exist without her support. So we have been a comic book shop here in Alaska. We are the northernmost comic book shop in the United States. And we've been in business for, I think, almost 2 years now. We should statistically not have survived. We were able to survive because of this YouTube community, because of people like you, because of people like Three Men in the Basement, TiVo from Lords of the Long Box, Pressable Defects, Spine Ticks, and all these other channels. I do not say that as just some loose endorsement. It is 100% true. The statistics say that we should have went out of business, especially during the COVID closures, especially since as a new business, there's no way that we would have been able on our own to establish the strong financial support that we have from our customers and the customer base that we have, which is nationwide right now, thanks to the exposure we get. If you look at the numbers, when we first became a retailer, and if you want me to, I can go into detail later on if we have time of what it means to start a shop and how it happens, but there's a lot of moving parts. But when we became a shop finally with Diamond, which was the monopoly at the time, there was no other distributor. There was over 375 shops nationwide. I believe there's currently, actually that's not true. There was like 325. There's currently 275 roughly shops nationwide. That's a lot of shops that failed, and those shops that were way older than us and had been better established than us, and yet they failed miserably. And there's a lot of reasons for that. So we're very, very grateful, but we fight every day to entertain our customers and to keep them engaged in this hobby. We don't try to be like you or the other channels. We have a YouTube channel. We have it to promote the lighter side of our shop and our community, because comic shops are a community, brother. I feel that the shops that failed because they were operated by introverts that never got that true commitment to their shop. I'm not attacking people, but facts are facts. When you're still hearing these horror stories of guys, they walk into a shop because they have their phone with. And by the way, they've been going to the same shop for like 10 years. And one day the owner takes out their frustrations on the customer because the customer walked in with a phone app that had Key Collector or Cover Price or Go Collect on the phone. And the owner is passing on their responsibility to the buyer by screaming, "Hey, you can't come into my shop with that app because you're robbing me." That's insane.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go off the rails on that one, but we're seeing stuff like that happen. And then they're wondering, these same shop owners are wondering why they're going out of business a couple of months later, because all their customers have, you can't, there are stressful times at this shop when I have people abandon pull boxes, or when I have shipments that come destroyed or completely shorted. I can't pass that anger and frustration on to my customers. My customers come to the shop because they want to get away from all that craziness and that anger and hatred and everything else. So that's why we do what we do here.
Comics are definitely a great form of escapism, and I think that the shop and should be that. My channel, I think, is also that. But I want to back up just a little bit. So you are co-owner of Aegis in Alaska. The Amy that you referenced is actually your wife and also the co-owner, right? Hilarious woman. And I want to give a huge shout out to, I think it's Kevin, right? Kevin?
Yes.
He is a nutcase, okay?
Yeah.
So the reason why your shop is doing so well, I'm gonna be completely honest, it's Kevin's fault. It's Kevin, and it's
100%.
that Deadpool head that you guys play with all the time. If you haven't watched these guys on the Instagram machine, I want to encourage you because they do some hilarious skits and I thoroughly enjoy them as a result of that. That's why you're still in business, brother. All these other YouTubers you just rattled off, they have nothing to do with it. It's Kevin and the Deadpool head. That's why it's successful. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Be clear.
It's Kevin and Amy for sure. 100%. Oh my God. Yeah. Kevin, Kevin used to, we were talking the other day, real quick. I'm giving you the punchline of the conversation, but we sat there looking at each other. We're like, could we ever go back to a normal workforce after this place? There's no,
you're ruined.
We literally, before I got on here, we were talking about a skit that we plan on doing. We're going to be doing this whole skit about, I don't want to give up the whole thing, but essentially it's going to involve the Diamond Comics warehouse and how it's going to be a big fight scene and everything else. I mean, we go into big productions here, but
so I'm guessing you're going to be shoving some comics in boxes as well. I'm guessing.
It's going to be insane. It's going to be insane. We had just watched clips from Black Dynamite, and we want to take a couple of those fight scenes and put them into what we plan to do. But anyway, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that we do every day because we like seeing the smiles on people's faces. And a lot of the people that you see in our skits are our customers.
Yeah.
That's not staff. Yeah. And back to Kevin's background, Kevin used to do open mic comedy in Washington, in Seattle area. So he comes up here and it's just he came and I offered him the job. He was one of my favorite customers, always put a smile on my face. I was like, bro, do you want to be the shop manager? And he's like, yeah. And the rest is history,
He's a good guy. You can see that.
Yeah.
So the reason why I wanted to have you on was to have you talk a little bit about this transition that Marvel has made, where they have moved away from Diamond as the exclusive to now signing up with Penguin. And my very first question to you is, should we be concerned? Should we be concerned about this transition that they have made?
Yes.
Why?
Excellent question. And
the why or the first part? I don't know which one. I'm confused.
I would say both because the why is the most important. We should be concerned. The why is because competition makes us great. Mm-hmm. It really does. I believe that my competitor in Anchorage, one of the oldest shops in the state, was becoming stagnant. The reason that he started stepping up his game and finally getting back on social media was because of us. Mm. A lot of his customers started coming to our shop, and actually I get along with the guy, but that was happening because they were the only shop in the state, no competition. Now we look at Diamond Comics. I do not want Diamond to fail. I truly don't. As much as I complain about them, I do not want them to fail because they have done some things for the industry that the other guys can't do.
Or haven't done.
Right. They haven't done. I don't know that they can just yet. Diamond, I was really looking forward to a retailer summit. They're the only ones that could make something like that happen for years. And that was because of their industry connection. So why is it bad? Because now they're going to a non-comic book company, Marvel. That's the competitor. Had they gone to Lunar, I think we could have stomached with that because Lunar, you could see by the standard of their packaging that they are comic readers and comic collectors at their warehouse. When they send a ratio variant to you, it is bagged and boarded. The boxes, bubble wrap. You can go on our videos and just look the Lunar versus Diamond. We did actual unboxings. We did back-to-back unboxings just to be fair and to be consistent. And Lunar always leads on packaging, hands down. Penguin has just as bad, if not a worse reputation than Diamond on the shipping of their books because they ship novels and thick books. there's no reason for them to put things in bubble wrap. And the majority, I could be speaking out of line here, but I do believe that the majority of their customers are co-signees. They're not people that have to make the purchase like we do. So when we receive a diamond shipment, we buy that shipment. That's not co-sign.
Right.
How it gets here is how it gets here. And as long as it's readable and the covers aren't torn off of it, we have to eat it.
Yeah. So let's break this down. Let's break this down. So competition is important. Your competitor in Anchorage stepped up what he was doing because he was starting to not necessarily do the right thing, right? You come in, he steps up his game because you're starting to do really well, right?
Right.
We had DC pivot to Lunar and that other company and now just Lunar, right?
Right.
Why did we not see Diamond have that same wake-up call that your competitor in Anchorage had when they lost roughly 30% of their business, right? Because Lunar, you're saying, is doing a really good job bubble wrapping things. I think that based upon everything that I've read on their website, right, their people that work there are comic book fans, which is why they care, right? Diamond has been around for decades. Why do you think that they did not make the pivot that maybe they should have? What's the thought there?
I believe that their leadership, you could even see a little bit of the ego from Geppy.
Yep.
I don't know this man personally, but I'm seeing the same comments. You could look at Bleeding Cool, for instance. You could see some of the articles. Mm-hmm. His response to this situation is identical to how he responded in the 90s, which is this: we've been through this before. They'll come back to us. They're going to come back to us. They're going to realize that this is overwhelming, that, the retailers are impossible to deal with, and blah, blah, blah. Right. And they're going to come back to us because that's what they've always done. The problem is where Diamond, I think, is failing for now anyway, is in the 1990s, there wasn't the shops that could go. Let me put it this way. As a shop right now, that box that came to us recently from Diamond, actually this week, they just threw a Department of Truth number 7, I believe it was, in one big ass box that's designed for like 100 books, which cost us $14 in shipping, for a cover price of $3.99. I'm completely upside down in that book right now because they decide to ship it that way, right? Mm-hmm. I would say that had this been in the 1990s, I couldn't go to the New York Times or to the local paper and say, hey, look at what this guy did to me. Tell everybody. I was able to go on my Instagram from my phone, take a picture real quick, post it, and share it among over 1,000 people within 3 seconds. That's the difference between the 1990s and now. And until Geppy's management staff, because I come from military background, and I think you've heard me say this before on other interviews, there's a difference between managers and leaders.
Facts.
He's got a bunch of managers there. He doesn't have leaders, and he needs to surround himself with leaders that are looking at all of that stuff and looking at their message. It's simple tweaks. They have all the tools in the history. They should be leading the industry.
You would imagine.
They're stuck in this. They're stuck in this one time frame, and they're not progressing. They're using the same boxes that they were using back in the 1990s. I think they've just updated them slightly.
Yeah, they made them like 3,000 pounds crush resistant, which was not the problem. It was never crushing. It was always the shifting inside the box that was the problem.
That was causing pearls. Yes.
But I think, to your point, no one really wants Diamond to fail, and I think a lot of people believe that competition is good. But one of the challenges that, to your point, they seem to be a little tone deaf and did not make the pivot when they could have made the pivot, right? Losing 30% of your business to most people is a wake-up call.
Well, actually, it's a little bit more now because the Scout has not exclusively.
Did Scout pivot off, you're saying?
Yeah, Scout is with Lunar right now.
Well, I was saying specifically when DC first pivoted off, that was 30%. That's what I'm referring to. You
Yeah,
would
but
think
you know
that
why
would have
that
been a wake-up
happened.
call.
But you know why that happened. That was insane. That was because Geppy, well, he says it wasn't him. That's why he fired, they don't use the term fired, but the person who was actually filling the role that Geppy has now stepped into from his, ownership to now he's operating. That guy had literally during COVID walked to all the publishers. Now imagine you're a publisher, okay? During COVID, you're already struggling and trying to stay alive. Now imagine you're DC, you're answering to a bunch of executives at AT&T that don't understand your love for comic books and loyalty to artists.
And
They
don't
just
care.
understand and don't care.
Right.
They just, the bottom line.
Where's the money? Yeah.
Now I'm Diamond Comics and I approach you and say, hey guys, this is how we're going to handle this pandemic thing. I'm going to keep distributing your books. I'm not paying you a dime until we start recovering. And then I'm going to pay you 50%. Then I'm going to increase to 75% when I feel comfortable. And maybe a couple of years from now, I'll start paying you 100%. Jim Lee went to AT&T and said, hey, my buddy over here that I've known since the 1990s, he wants us to help him out. They probably laughed him out of the boardroom. And I'm presuming it was Jim Lee. It might have been whoever it was. But AT&T was not having it. They were like, no, I think what we're going to do is we're going to find our own distribution right now.
Yep.
Like
and they went out and stood up too.
DCBS.
And one survived, right?
Yeah. Well, because it's so challenging. That's what that's what Geppy's banking on, because only one survived. The other one, being Midtown of all things, realized this is too much.
Right. But here's the thing: is I don't know if Penguin is going to have that quit in them, right? And I say that because you're talking about 2 million square feet of distribution capacity versus Diamond's 1 million, possibly declining as they may shut down additional distributors now that they've lost 30% of business through DC, and then another, 60% or so, 50% or so from Marvel. And now you're also saying that Scout has also made a pivot. Go ahead, jump in there.
Now they you could tell that they're already trying to do damage control. Boom Studio CEO
Ross
Reggie was on Sparks last night, and he specifically said they were made to sign an exclusive with Diamond. So I believe that Diamond is now reaching out to
what's left of their business
and saying, hey man, you got to be exclusive.
Yeah.
You can't do what Scout just did. We're shoring up all the leaks now.
But the challenge was the statement that Geppy, I think that's how you say his name. I'm butchering it, and if I am,
he looks like a mobster, which makes me laugh. He's going to have us all hit after this, but yeah,
he's going to have you hit. I'm not repeating what you just said. So, all right, I used to live in Baltimore area, so I'm good. I'm okay. But it's not surprising that he is trying to shore up his business, because that statement that he issued, in my opinion, was a little tone deaf. The statement that he issued was basically like, hey, we've been through this before. We're going to survive. We're going to be fine. We're strong. We are committed. It was all of these, in my opinion, hollow words that were being issued. It's like, bro, improve the quality of your service. If you do that, a lot will be forgiven. And it's like, don't issue a statement, do better. Because again, no one wants them to fail, right? No one wants to see that happen. But one of the other questions I have for you is when you spoke about Penguin, your comment was, if they had gone with Lunar, Marvel had gone with Lunar, that would have been something that could have been absorbed and understood, right? This idea of going with Penguin, a foreign entity, if you will. I'm curious, had you had any direct experience with Penguin prior to what you may be doing in the future? Have you ever dealt with them directly?
Not directly, indirectly with the books that we have right now that we sell for some local veterans. Okay. And they're Penguin Random House.
Yep.
And they have a kind of like that model that, hey, we suspect that 25% of our books will be damaged. So we're going to always have this amount of books at the ready type thing. So they're not concerned about their shipping practices because they tend to have more books. I don't know that the comic book publishers can do what the
Novels and
novels and
hardcovers
stuff
do.
can
Yeah.
do. And once again, they typically deal with the co-sign deals, like Barnes and Noble. Now, granted, that's the other problem too. Maybe Penguin turns around and offers that to us, but the co-sign at the Barnes and Noble level, that's a 35% discount
Yep.
is what that is. We couldn't survive on a 35% discount. Comic book shops survive on a 50% discount because it gives us room to play around with something to give back to our customers, that, between that 2% and 10% discount, and here we'll offer like a 20% for special incentives. You can't even offer that stuff anymore with under that threshold if you're paying, and not to mention the fact shipping as well, because shipping kills people all the time, just the shipping cost alone. And
So-
Diamond does help with shipping, believe it or not.
So I want to parse some of that out there because the reason I asked whether you had experience with Penguin before is because I found out that some comic shops were actually contacted in like 3 weeks before the Marvel deal was announced. They were contacted by
Wow.
Penguin. And it was like, hey, do you want to set up an account with us? We have the ability to offer graphic novels and comics now. This was like 3 weeks
Wow.
beforehand. And I know this because one of my shops literally told me that today. So I was curious. It was almost like a warm type of introduction that they were doing in advance of the official notice coming out. So that's part of the reason why I
They're
asked.
going to do that for locals. That we're the last ones that they're going to talk to, because we're usually the test bed. Like, we were the test bed for Lunar.
Oh, were you? Okay.
Yeah, because Lunar wanted to be able to prove that they could ship out CONUS and were considered out CONUS. Although we do have like incentivized shipping rates and stuff because of the our indigenous people up here and everything else. We get some special rates up here, but nonetheless, it was a good test for them, and I think they passed the test in that regard. So we're usually a test bed. So it's only a matter of time, I suspect, before they contact us, but we're not the first person they call. TKO ships to us, and TKO gives us the same deal that they give the lower 48 guys.
Yep.
It's way more expensive for them to deal with us, but they still give us that deal. And now they're an independent distributor. My thing is, where I'm worried right now is we're already seeing a potential demise of Diamond, and that scares me because I don't want them to go under. But we're seeing it in the customer service phase. So what happens is, when you first sign up for Diamond assigns you a representative. So my representative was Lindsay. She was friggin' awesome, Johnny on the spot. She put aside all of the customer service horror stories from Diamond. She was always available via phone call, email, always responsive. They stay with you kind of like your training wheels, and then they assign you to a new rep when they feel that you've learned the system, learn how to make orders, learn how to navigate variants and all that other stuff. Then they assigned me to a girl named Kimberly, who I believe wholeheartedly is probably a great person. But all of a sudden, and this was just prior to COVID, we couldn't even get a hold of her anymore. She never responded to emails. It was the same horror stories you hear from all the shops, that their assigned representative wasn't getting back to them. And then after COVID, I called the general number, and she answered, and she apologized and said, we're so short-staffed right now, I am fielding calls for all of the accounts.
Wow.
And I was like, ooh, that's got to be a miserable. And, but prior to that, I just want to go back a sec. With Lindsay, and there's no, I actually really respect her. If I had the ability to hire her, I would hire her. I thought she was a great rep. There was a cockiness with Diamond just prior to COVID. When we first signed up, there was already speculation on YouTube that there was going to be another distribution company making its way. As a matter of fact, it's not known to everyone, but Torpedo Comics was considering competing at one point.
Really?
Torpedo Comics was actually considering, and I got that from the horse's mouth. We were in Vegas, Amy and I, and we were talking to them, and they were considering it because they were tired of Diamond at the time. And Torpedo Comics, they have the money to do it. If they really wanted to, they could.
Brother,
they got money
the price
there.
they sell those books for, you are right. They do have the money.
Yo, that vault and they got money. They
That
got
vault
money.
is official. But go ahead. I cut you
Yes.
off. Go ahead.
No. You're right though. And her response was, "There is no competition for us. We welcome it." It was very cocky.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
wasn't condescending to me, but she was very condescending to competition. She's like, "They've all tried. We welcome it. It'll never happen."
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, the lunar thing happens, and I
Yep.
was like, "Uh-oh!" And they weren't ready, bro. They were not
No.
ready. They were not ready. They've lost one warehouse already.
They shut it down. Yeah. And it was a warehouse that they had recently purchased and actually upgraded that they actually shut down.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like buying a new house, putting in, new flooring and carpet and all that kind of stuff. And then you decide you don't want it anymore. That's expensive.
They've had to slim down because they were, it was pretty crazy. One of the guys who, I can't give away who it is because I'll just keep it to myself, the name, but I'll tell you the story real quick. There was a time, and there was the cowboy days of Diamond Comics, where they had like over 3,000, if not more, contracts. I think it could have been as high as 9,000 to 13,000 retailers nationwide.
Yeah.
They were allowing anybody
Yeah.
to be a retailer. That was like what, late 90s or something.
And that's part of why everything collapsed. It's like the Wild West, man.
Yeah, and now they really vet things out. So we're a sideshow distributor.
Yep.
This niche affects everyone. Sideshow, and God bless her, my rep is awesome. Her name is Linda Carter. I can't make that up.
Oh, that's an awesome name.
Linda Carter.
Comics.
Linda, if you're listening, we love you. Amy and I love you so much. We do, because she, when she found out that Austin, our boy who's disabled,
yeah,
he's a big Deadpool fan. She made sure that Austin received a Sideshow exclusive Deadpool hot toy.
That's cool.
This kind of stuff. It's community. But prior to that, she wasn't nice. She was strict. She was like, no, we can't have fly-by-nights and fake stores and fake web stores. Not only do I need your license, your copy of your license and other things, I need a picture of your storefront and interior of your shop.
Wow.
So they're doing full vetting on a lot of these places, So I think some companies have learned their lesson. Here's where competition was helping things out for a little bit. I've mentioned this in the past before, but one of the things we saw, Lunar came out with it first. When you had damaged or shorted books with Diamond, you had to send email, you had to take a copy of your spreadsheet and send it to them and all this crazy stuff, right? Lunar was the first one to develop it on their website.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go into the retailer website of Lunar, you just click. It's not hidden anywhere. You just click loss, damage report, and right there, it already has all the books that you ordered for that shipment.
Imagine
and they say, okay, it's super easy.
Imagine that.
Diamond ends up launching something similar like 6 months later.
Yep.
But initially, it was hidden in a link. Like you had to dig through the whole website to find it. And finally, they put it in a highlighted link after a bunch of complaints. They're like, hey, Diamond, you have this great tool that's actually superior to the Lunar one, but you have it hidden deep within your website. So they fixed that. But that was because of competition. Because prior to that, there was no need for them to ever make an improvement like that.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of reasons to improve, even if you don't have competition, right? Because let's be completely honest, right? Does Diamond get do they deserve all of the negativity that comes their way? Probably not, right? But they can do a lot to actually improve some of that stuff, their public image, right? The condescending nature that you've talked about. There's ways that you can change your behavior to actually get along a little bit better with folks, right? Because people know, right? But I have a specific question for you. You don't want Diamond to fail. That's very clear. With Diamond now not having an exclusive relationship with Marvel anymore, they now are a customer of Penguin, which means that unless Penguin is giving Diamond a super discount, it's going to be tough for Diamond to give any of their customers really great discounts. So to your point, comic shops are surviving off of a 50% discount previously. If correct. Diamond is getting 50%, they can't give you 50%, which means that they're going to have to give you a smaller percentage. To that point, do you, and I mean, you can answer this a lot of different ways, right? Do you intend to continue buying comics through Diamond, or will you make the switch to Penguin for the sake of your business?
This is a very interesting question because as long as the indies stay with Diamond, Diamond can spread that discount threshold among all the titles.
Okay.
Here's where I was terrified, because when Lunar first announced that they were going to be now the only DC distributor, because Midtown said, you know what, this is crazy. We're not doing this anymore, right? Lunar put out their new threshold to accommodate that and said, you guys got to order, I think it was $500
I remember that.
a month.
Per month.
Right?
Yep.
500 a month. And they're not messing around with that. If you don't meet the 500, they'll hold your books until you hit the 500. So now you're late. And after you do it for a while, they'll just cancel your account. So you gotta keep those orders up. That's just for one publisher.
Yes.
Okay. So I was rooting for them to get at least one more publisher so I could spread that out.
Gotcha. So it wasn't just 500 of DC, it would be 500 of DC and Scout and whoever else. Got it. Yes. Okay, keep going. I see where you're going now.
If Penguin ends up scooping up Image or Absolute Comics or Vault Comics or Aftershock, that would be devastating for us, because I believe that now Diamond, they wouldn't have all those books to stretch out that purchase threshold, because Diamond has a threshold of $450 per month.
Yep.
As long as they maintain that, we're good to go. But if they turn around and they say, all right, guys, you're going to have to purchase, because we're only down to one title at Diamond.
Yep.
We're going to need you to buy $1,000 a month of Power Rangers. But sorry.
Good luck with that.
Sorry.
but just so I understand what I'm hearing you saying, I want to make sure that I'm hearing it correctly and that my listeners are. The minimum threshold is attached to the discount, because that's kind of what I'm hearing.
That's correct.
Okay, so you hit that minimum threshold, you get the discount. You don't hit that minimum threshold, you don't get that discount. Or in the case of Lunar, they hold your books and will eventually cancel for not meeting multiple times. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So the danger for you isn't so much that Marvel left. It is more about if other publishers leave Diamond, which will mean that they have fewer ways for you to spread that minimum threshold across, which will reduce your overall discount. What I'm hearing you say at the top of this is that you're going to stick with Diamond. That's what I just heard.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Because Diamond right now offers not only the best discount, they offer, the previews pull box and all this other stuff, which if all these people start going to all these different distributors, I have to be a survivalist, right? I'm not going to go out of business because these idiots don't know how to manage their companies. I'm going to manage mine, because I have a wife and I have kids that I got to keep fed, and I got a house to pay and everything. And dogs, those two Frenchies are killing me, brother.
And Kevin ain't free.
Kevin's not free. Shauna's not free. JC's not free. Anyway, oh God, I'm gonna stroke out. But my big thing is that our backup plan, the online pull box. Diamond's the only one that offers it right now. It makes things so easy for the orders. They screw them up, but it's still easy right now, right? Lunar doesn't offer it yet. They don't. However, for any comic book shops that are on here watching with us, League of Comic Book Geeks has an online pull box. And comic book shops can reach out to them, set up an account, and then people could do their pull box through League of Comic Book Geeks that has a better record of all these books anyway. If you ever want to find a cover for a book, you don't go to Previews World, you go to League of Comic Book Geeks, because they have all the variants. They have all the variant covers, all that information, and then they have where you can create a pull box and then you can select the shop. In the future, if this thing keeps going the way it's going, I think I'm going to try to push all of my customers to League of Comic Book Geeks. So it's a one-stop shop. We're getting our data for our orders from one location, and then it'll be up to us to go to the different, right.
Yep.
But as of right now, it's difficult enough because we're doing the old school spreadsheet for DC orders.
Yep.
And now Scout Comics, and we're doing everything else through the online pull box from Diamond. Because Diamond, the way it works right now, when I do my orders, it'll import what everybody ordered on Preview's catalog, if that makes sense. It's great there. The only thing they're not good at right now that Lunar's superior at is that Lunar, when you go onto their back page to order, they will show you, not only will they show you how many books you ordered, if there's an incentive variant, they will tell you. It is awesome, by the way. It was a godsend when they did this. They will tell you how many books you're missing to qualify
to get that
incentive.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. Diamond doesn't do that at all. You either get it or you don't. And that also results sometimes in shops ordering more books than they should have. And then that's why they end up with a bunch of books that are acting as insulation rather than anything else. And that's why we're looking not only for League of Comic Book Geeks, but we also look to offload a lot of our excess books through Pop Shop Live and all these other apps. But back to, the situation at hand, League of Comic Book Geeks provides the technology that we need that can unite all of our customers and not get that separation because, the publishers have chosen these different distributors. Because I don't think this is the last we're going to hear of a publisher leaving. TKO Studios got so fed up that they just created their own distribution.
Right. Yeah. I think I saw somebody else comment that they felt like publishers were going to go in that direction. And I don't know, because publishers, they did that before, right? They've been there. They did that. They are the ones that created the monopoly with Diamond by buying capital and shutting capital down and propping up Diamond, right? But it is also a different day, right? It is a different day. Technology is a little different. There are things that you can leverage out there that may make it a little bit easier. I don't know. I don't know what the future holds, but I think you're spot on that this is not the last time that we've seen a pivot of this sort.
Geppy could have fixed a lot of this right now by doing a virtual summit. He didn't even do that.
Again, man, I don't want to assume that it's ego, but I don't know what else it would be, because I don't think that he's a stupid man.
No,
right?
He's not.
So the question is, why can Diamond not get out of its own way to correct the things that clearly need to be corrected? What is preventing that from happening, right? I don't know.
Old school mentality. I believe it's old school mentality. I think he's still surrounded by old thought process. He has his loyal guys and I get that, man. You surround yourself with a guy who's been with you ride or die from the beginning, has never stolen a dime from you.
Yeah.
But by their inability to advance, they are stealing from you. They're just not stealing in the conventional way. They're stealing time and your future, because you're stuck in this 1990s bubble.
Yeah.
Couple they got to move out.
Couple of more questions for you here before we wrap up, because I'm going a little bit long, and that's definitely my bad. I was too busy talking about Kevin and the Deadpool head. One of the things that I've heard repeatedly from different folks out there that are hearing this news about Marvel going with Penguin, for some reason or another, people are hearing that distribution is going to open up beyond the LCS. People are hearing comics in grocery stores and convenience stores. They are hearing, comics at everywhere, like at the car wash, at the gas station, right? Have you seen or heard anything that would lead you to believe that this pivot that Marvel has made to Penguin will lead to wider spread distribution of comics? Have you heard anything about that?
No, and I would argue that they've already tried it before and it failed miserably. That's why, remember, all you old school guys out there, guys and girls that are watching Reggie's show right now, you guys remember your first comic book that you got from grandma and it was the no cover on it? There's a reason for that. Back in the day, they would send these books to the grocery store, and whatever the grocery store couldn't sell, they would just rip the cover off, and then they would send the covers back to get a credit.
Yep.
That business practice is not alive and well right now because they realize that's what bankrupted them the last time.
Well said. Because it costs a lot of money to produce those things, to send them out, only to have to give somebody a credit later on for a book that they couldn't sell because they don't know how to manage their business.
And the damn baseball card people will just make that coverless book valuable anyway, damn it.
For sure. But it's one of those things that I've struggled with. And I'm like, are people hearing something different than what I hear? Because what I hear is Penguin is servicing the direct market. I don't hear Penguin saying we're going to put comics in gas stations. But in my head, I feel like what people are really thinking about is the nostalgia of Granny buying them that comic at the grocery store, or mom or whoever, if they were good, buying them a comic at the 7-Eleven or something like that, or riding their bike. I think that's what a lot of it is. But I wanted to make sure that I wasn't missing something, because
it's already happening.
Go ahead.
It's already happening with Walmart. It's already available at Walmart and everything else. But these guys don't want to be stuck with 1,000 useless books.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
The other part of it is people are saying put them in convenience stores because that's going to help kids get access to the comics. But the challenge is, to your point with Walmart, it's not kids that are buying the comics in Walmarts. It's the collectors that are waiting there, that are, making friends with the people that work at Walmart to make sure they get the books out the back door, not out the front door, right? So, it's a little bit of nostalgia. It's a little bit of this desire, I think, to have newsstands because newsstands are hot and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know if it necessarily is going to improve access for children, right? I'm actually going to talk about something here in a minute that I think is driving a little bit of that interest for the next generation, but we'll talk about that in the next segment here.
Yeah, I would just say that the reason I don't think that model is going to work too much right now is because we've had these conversations in the shop where we have comic collectors that could have gone to Walmart or they could have gone to these places, but they felt uncomfortable as this grown adult grabbing this comic book, in Walmart that's probably in the kids section, right?
Yeah.
Whereas at the shop, everyone understands, hey, that's where you go to get that stuff. And
no one's going to judge you.
No one's going to judge you. It's a judge-free zone here. So I think that's part of it too. And we really do make it community at shops. The smart shops do anyway. We have events here all the time. If you come here on the Wednesday, it's old school in terms of everyone's here. Some new people that are getting into the hobby get frustrated because nobody's checking out. Nobody's sitting. Everyone is debating or just catching up on the latest title. Yeah. Why is Doctor Strange and Carol Danvers smashing? They want to know all that stuff. Hell, I want to know what happened to good old Rhodes.
I was at the comic shop for an hour today, right at the register, talking to my guy, just having a good time. People are coming up and I'm like, hey, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No. They're like, no, I'm going to just stand here and listen. I'm like, cool, whatever.
Isn't that awesome?
You don't get that in Walmart. Okay.
That's not going to happen at the gas station because the guy who's in line to get his Newports is not about to wait for you.
Are they still smoking Newports in Alaska, brother?
Yeah, man, we're in like a time bubble here. Yeah.
All right, Lou, I want to thank you, brother, for coming on the channel, man, and hanging out a little bit. You want to give, I don't know if you guys have something coming up. I know you were doing some pop-up shops or something like that. Is there anything you want to shout out before I let you go?
Man, come to the channel, check us out. So, for the comedy portion, we do not come to us for news because that's what you go to Reggie and them for. Don't come to us for accurate news. We are a spoof, parody, have fun channel. But in terms of, we're ridiculous. Actually, I'm ashamed of myself half the time with some of the stuff we do. But anyway, I would say we do have a Comic Con that's coming up. We have our first one in Wasilla. That's in June 26th. And then we have the Alaska Comic Con in Fairbanks, which will be in August, followed by Arctic Comic Con in Anchorage, which is our major city, which will be in October. So we're really excited. The cons are coming back up here. Come come support. If you're coming up to Alaska to get away from the craziness of the lower 48, make sure to check out a con up here and enjoy yourselves, enjoy the hobby, come by the shop, and be good to one another, man.
Lou from Aegis Comics Alaska on Instagram. Be sure to check him out, man. And again, if you want to laugh, go to Instagram and just click on any video. It is just hilarity. So, Lou, I want to thank you and Amy, man. You guys are awesome people. I absolutely appreciate you guys. Be well, brother.
Thank you. It was an honor. Thank you.
All right, so that was Lou. Love that guy. I've been buying from him off and on for like the last little bit through the whole COVID stuff, sending a little bit of money, trying to pick up some stuff from him to support that channel or support his store. I love all things Alaska. Let me tell you, it doesn't matter what it is. I absolutely love it. There was one other thing that I was going to try to get to, but we are definitely over time. I try to keep the show at about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. We are definitely over. I will actually revisit that possibly on the Sunday show. But I want to thank you all for hanging out with me a little bit. I hope you were able to get a better feel maybe for how comic shops operate, how comic shops are actually thinking about this transition that Marvel has made from Diamond to Penguin based upon some of the insight that Lou provided us over the last little bit. And I absolutely appreciate him giving up so much time to come here to help us to make sense of some of these things that are going on, because as a comic book collector, as a comic book fan, I have a point of view and a perspective, but I'm also not dependent upon anything that is happening with Marvel or Penguin or Diamond, other than, you know, my book showing up. It is very different to hear it from somebody that is actually in the trenches, that is doing this on a daily basis. So again, shout out to him for providing us with that perspective. If you guys need to reach out to me, I definitely want to encourage you to do so on Instagram at Reggie Collects. Take care.